Every single day, over 2 billion people reheat their leftovers. They assume that if food is heated thoroughly enough, it is automatically safe to eat. That assumption is costing lives. Here's a number I want you to remember. 1 in 6. That is the proportion of all cancer cases worldwide that researchers now associate with dietary factors, including the way food is stored, reheated, and consumed. According to data published in the journal CA, a cancer journal for clinicians, poor dietary habits rank as the second leading modifiable risk factor for cancer worldwide, second only to tobacco use. And yet almost no one is talking about what actually happens to certain foods at the molecular level when they are reheated a second time, whether in the microwave or on the stovetop. These chemical reactions are silent. You cannot see them. You cannot smell them. But they are happening inside your food and then inside your body. My name is Dr. Adewale Morgan. I have spent more than 15 years studying nutritional biochemistry and the relationship between food science and preventive oncology. I am not going to soften this for you, because comfortable lies have never protected anyone, and a man who cannot tolerate an uncomfortable fact will never be equipped to act on it. What protects you is the discipline to look directly at the evidence and change your behavior accordingly. Today, I am going to show you 4 foods you're almost certainly reheating right now. Foods probably sitting in your refrigerator this very moment, that undergo documented, scientifically verified chemical transformations when reheated. Transformations that carry a measurable cancer risk. Stay with me until the end, because the 4th food on this list is one that almost every health-conscious person believes is completely safe. That belief is dangerously mistaken. Before we go further, understand something important. This is not about a minor inconvenience. This is not about an upset stomach or a night of food poisoning. This is about the slow, cumulative buildup of carcinogenic compounds inside your body over months and years. The kind of silent damage that goes unnoticed until it becomes extremely difficult to reverse. Cancer rarely develops overnight. It is a gradual process, a slow erosion of order within the cell. Order collapsing into chaos. One small, unrepaired mistake compounding into the next until the system that once protected you turns against you. You have seen this same pattern elsewhere in life. A man does not lose his health, his marriage, or his self-respect in a single afternoon. He loses it one unexamined compromise at a time, until the accumulated weight of those small failures becomes a catastrophe he never saw coming. The building blocks of that process, free radicals, advanced glycation end products, nitrosamines, lipid peroxidation byproducts, often enter your body not through cigarette smoke or industrial pollution, but through your own kitchen. The World Health Organization has classified several compounds formed during the reheating of certain foods as Group 1 or Group 2A carcinogens. Group 1 means conclusive evidence that a substance causes cancer in humans. Group 2A means it is probably carcinogenic. These are not theoretical concerns. They are documented reactions occurring on your stovetop or inside your microwave every time the wrong foods are reheated the wrong way. And here is the part that should concern you most. The people at greatest risk are not those with careless habits. They are disciplined, well-intentioned men and women who believe they are doing everything right. Lean proteins, cooked vegetables, rice, eggs. These are the 4 food categories we will examine today. After this video, you will never look at your leftovers the same way again. Let me tell you briefly why I am qualified to speak on this. Not to impress you, because in a world drowning in health misinformation, you deserve to know exactly who is giving you advice and why it can be trusted. I trained in internal medicine, followed by advanced fellowship training in nutritional biochemistry. For 15 years, my research has focused on how cooking methods, heat exposure, and food storage alter the molecular structure of macronutrients and generate byproducts that interact with human DNA and cellular metabolism. For this video, I reviewed hundreds of peer-reviewed studies. Every claim here is backed by research published in journals including Food Chemistry, the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, Carcinogenesis, and the Lancet Oncology. I will lay out the mechanisms in plain language because the science is real, the evidence is strong, and you are fully capable of understanding it. I am not here to sell you a supplement. I am not here to frighten you into buying a course. I am here because responsibility begins with knowledge, and a man who refuses to look at the evidence in front of him is not being calm. He is being negligent. I did not earn this reputation by telling people what made them comfortable. I earned it by telling them what the data actually says, even when it disrupts habits they were proud of. What I am about to share could genuinely protect you and the people who depend on you. Before we get to the foods, you need a short but essential lesson in food chemistry. Do not skip this. It is the foundation for everything that follows. When food is cooked the first time, heat produces predictable, manageable reactions. Proteins unfold, starches gelatinize, fats emulsify. Normal processes. But when you reheat food that has already gone through those changes, especially food stored in the refrigerator for hours or days, a different set of reactions takes over. First, oxidation. Fats and proteins exposed to oxygen during storage become unstable. Reheat them, and those already damaged molecules break down further into lipid peroxides and malondialdehyde, well-documented agents of DNA damage. Second, the Maillard reaction, gone wrong. That reaction gives cooked food its flavor and color, but repeated high heat on proteins and sugars produces advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which drive chronic inflammation, one of the core engines of cancer development. Third, nitrite conversion. Certain foods high in natural nitrates undergo bacterial conversion during refrigeration. Reheat them, and those nitrates become nitrites, which can transform further into nitrosamines, compounds the WHO classifies as probable or confirmed carcinogens. 3 mechanisms: oxidation, advanced glycation, nitrosamine formation. Hold on to those terms. You will see them recur in every example ahead. Understanding them is not an academic exercise. It is the difference between reacting to your health after a diagnosis and taking ownership of it now, while you still have the power to change the outcome. Food number 1, cooked rice. Rice is the most widely consumed staple on Earth. Over 3 billion people depend on it. Billions reheat leftover rice daily, a habit woven into nearly every culture on the planet. But there is a serious problem, and it has almost nothing to do with the reheating itself. It's what happens in the gap between the first cooking and the second. As rice cools, it becomes a near-ideal breeding ground for Bacillus cereus, a bacterium naturally present in raw rice. It survives cooking and multiplies rapidly in rice left at room temperature or stored too long. When you reheat it, the heat may kill the bacteria, but it does not destroy the heat-resistant toxins they've already produced. Those toxins survive the microwave. They survive the stovetop. They enter your gut intact. But the bacterial risk, serious as it is not the main cancer concern. Here it is. Bacillus cereus produces a toxin called cereulide, shown in laboratory studies to damage mitochondria inside human cells. Mitochondrial dysfunction is recognized as one of the earliest steps toward malignant cellular transformation, the process by which a stable, functioning cell begins to break down and turn against the body. There is a second, quieter concern. Repeated heating of starch-rich food increases acrylamide formation, produced when natural sugars react with the amino acid asparagine under high heat. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies acrylamide as a Group 2A carcinogen, probably carcinogenic to humans. So what is the disciplined approach? Cook rice fresh whenever you can. If you must store it, spread it on a shallow tray immediately so it cools fast. Refrigerate within 1 hour. Eat it within 24 hours, and never reheat it more than once. This is not complicated. It simply requires you to stop treating your refrigerator as a place where risk disappears. It does not disappear. It waits. Food number 2, cooked chicken. Chicken is the world's most trusted lean protein. Every serious athlete, every dietitian, every disciplined man building his body around structure and strength leans on it. And when it lands in the fridge, almost everyone reheats it. Here is where the trouble starts. When animal muscle protein is exposed to high heat a second time, it undergoes protein oxidation, producing compounds called heterocyclic amines, HCAs. These are not a fringe concern. They are among the most extensively studied dietary carcinogens in the literature. Once inside the body, liver enzymes convert HCAs into highly reactive compounds that bind directly to DNA, producing mutations. When those mutations strike tumor suppressor genes, you have one of the primary pathways cancer uses to take hold. A landmark study in carcinogenesis found that people who frequently ate well-done or reheated poultry showed a statistically significant rise in colorectal cancer risk. A separate analysis from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health linked frequent reheated processed chicken to a higher risk of pancreatic cancer, one of the deadliest cancers, with a 5-year survival rate of just 11%. Sit with that for a moment. The very habit a disciplined man adopts in the name of strength and longevity can, left unexamined, quietly work against the very goal it was meant to serve. Discipline without knowledge is not virtue. It is simply a habit waiting to be corrected. Foods 3 and 4 are the ones almost everyone gets wrong. Food 3 affects people who are proud of eating clean. Food 4 is something nearly every physician tells you to eat, yet almost no one understands the risk of reheating it. If this kind of grounded, evidence-based thinking is useful to you, subscribe to this channel. One video a week, every week. Peer-reviewed science translated into something you can actually act on. No hype, no supplements, no hidden agenda. Just the discipline of following the evidence wherever it leads. Food number 3, spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy greens. Spinach is one of the most celebrated vegetables in the world of healthy eating, rich in iron, folate, magnesium, and powerful antioxidants. Every nutritionist, oncologist, and cardiologist will tell you to eat more of it, and they are right. When it's eaten fresh, cooked once, and consumed right away. The problem is what happens when it's stored and reheated. Spinach, along with celery, beets, lettuce, and Swiss chard, carries some of the highest natural nitrate levels of any food. In their original form, those nitrates are beneficial. They support cardiovascular health and healthy blood pressure. But once cooked spinach sits in the fridge, bacteria on the leaf surface begin converting those nitrates into nitrites, the same chemical shift that occurs in cured meats. And one of the reasons the WHO classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen back in 2015. Reheat spinach that has sat refrigerated for 24 hours or more, and you are applying heat to a vegetable that has already undergone substantial nitrate to nitrite conversion. Under that heat, nitrites react with amino acids in the food and later in your stomach to form nitrosamines, among the most potent dietary carcinogens known to science. Animal studies show they can induce cancer at remarkably low doses, and epidemiological research consistently links high nitrosamine exposure to gastric, esophageal, and colorectal cancers. This is not speculation for the sake of a video. The European Food Safety Authority has issued formal guidance on nitrate and nitrite exposure from vegetables, specifically flagging the risk of reheating nitrate-rich greens after storage. The irony here is severe. One of the healthiest foods on the planet can become a source of carcinogenic compounds through nothing more than a routine storage and reheat habit, one practiced weekly by millions of men and women who are genuinely trying to eat well. The discipline required is simple. Cook leafy greens fresh, eat them immediately, and if there are leftovers, consume them cold within a few hours. Do not refrigerate cooked spinach with the plan to reheat it. If you must store it, use an airtight container. Eat it within 6 hours and skip the reheating altogether. Eat it cold. It costs you nothing but a small adjustment in habit, and it removes an entire category of risk from your plate. Food number 4, eggs. I told you this one would surprise you. Eggs are among the most nutritionally complete foods on Earth. All 9 essential amino acids, a strong source of choline for brain function, meaningful amounts of selenium for antioxidant defense, plus lutein and zeaxanthin for eye and cellular health. By nearly every nutritional measure, eggs are exceptional. But reheating them, especially scrambled or hard-boiled, triggers a chemical problem almost no one discusses. Eggs are roughly 13% fat, concentrated in the yolk. On first cooking, that fat undergoes an initial, expected stage of oxidation, but refrigerate the cooked egg and reheat it at high temperature, and those already oxidized fats undergo secondary lipid oxidation at a much faster rate, producing malondialdehyde and oxysterols, compounds now well documented in the scientific literature. Oxysterols in particular have drawn serious scientific attention over the past decade. These are oxidized forms of cholesterol that form specifically when cholesterol-containing foods are repeatedly heated. A comprehensive review in food and chemical toxicology concluded that oxysterols carry pro-atherogenic, pro-inflammatory, and, most critically, cytotoxic and genotoxic effects on human cells. Genotoxic. Hold on to that word. It means toxic to your genetic material, your DNA. Genotoxic compounds are, by definition, potential carcinogens because they can cause DNA strand breaks and mutations that set the entire cancer process in motion. There is a second concern with reheated eggs. When cooked egg proteins face excessive heat a second time, particularly fast microwave reheating, they undergo further denaturation, forming abnormal crosslinks that are harder for your digestive system to break down. More significantly, the sulfur-containing amino acids in eggs, cysteine and methionine, can degrade under repeated heating, and their degradation products may drive oxidative stress in the lining of your digestive tract. That is not a minor detail. Persistent oxidative stress in the gastrointestinal lining is considered one of the major proposed mechanisms behind colorectal cancer, the third most common cancer worldwide, responsible for nearly 1 million deaths every year. The standard here is simple. Eat eggs immediately after cooking. If you prepare them ahead, keep hard-boiled eggs unpeeled and eat them cold. Do not microwave scrambled eggs or omelets. If you absolutely must warm an egg dish, use gentle indirect heat, a warm water bath or a very low oven, and never exceed 165 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a small discipline, and it protects one of the best foods available to you from becoming a liability. Let me be honest with you about something. When I first went through the research on reheated foods, nitrosamine formation, heterocyclic amines, oxysterols, my first reaction was not fear, it was frustration. This information is not hidden. It sits in peer-reviewed journals. It appears in official guidance from the European Food Safety Authority, the World Health Organization, and public health bodies around the world. And yet it almost never reaches the dinner table. It is rarely translated into something an ordinary busy person can actually use. Billions of people make decisions about reheating food every single day, not out of carelessness, but because no one ever gave them this information. There are children eating reheated rice, spinach, and eggs in school lunches 5 days a week. There are elderly people living alone, reheating chicken in the microwave out of pure convenience. There are disciplined men and women doing meal prep, eating reheated protein containers every day, fully convinced they are optimizing their health, with no idea the chemical composition of that food has already shifted since it was first cooked. None of these people are failing. They simply were never told. Now you have been. And once you know something, you carry a responsibility you did not have before. Not to panic, not to lecture, but to act differently and to pass the knowledge on. That is the entire purpose of this channel. Not to make you afraid of food, but to arm you with the knowledge to make better decisions, and to close the gap between what the science already knows and what the average person has actually been told. So let's bring it together. 4 foods, 4 distinct biological mechanisms. 1 conclusion: food matters. Rice. Reheating reactivates heat-stable bacterial toxins from Bacillus cereus and promotes acrylamide formation. Mechanism: bacterial toxin activity and acrylamide formation. Risk: mitochondrial dysfunction and exposure to a group 2, a probable carcinogen. Chicken. Reheating at high heat drives heterocyclic amine formation through protein oxidation. Alongside lipid oxidation, byproducts like malondialdehyde and 4-hydroxynonenal. Mechanism: protein and lipid oxidation. Risk: direct DNA interaction from HCAs, with elevated colorectal and pancreatic cancer risk. Spinach and leafy greens. Refrigeration allows bacterial conversion of nitrates into nitrites, and reheating drives nitrite to nitrosamine conversion. Mechanism: nitrate to nitrite to nitrosamine conversion. Risk: nitrosamine exposure linked to gastric, esophageal, and colorectal cancers. Eggs. Repeated heating of yolk fat and cholesterol drives oxysterol formation and secondary lipid oxidation. Mechanism: cholesterol oxidation and lipid oxidation. Risk: DNA damage, intestinal oxidative stress, elevated colorectal cancer risk. 3 fundamental mechanisms recur across all 4: nitrosamine formation, lipid and protein oxidation, and bacterial toxin activation. This is not fear-mongering. This is food biochemistry, rigorously and repeatedly confirmed in the literature. I would rather stand here and hand you an inconvenient truth you can act on than offer you a comfortable illusion that leaves you defenseless. Now let me tell you exactly what to do with this. These are practical steps. No supplements, no special equipment, no drastic overhaul of your life. Just disciplined, informed decisions, repeated consistently, that meaningfully reduce your long-term exposure. Discipline is not glamorous. It rarely feels significant in the moment. But it is discipline, applied daily, that determines what your body looks like biologically 20 years from now. Cook rice fresh when possible. If storing it, cool within 1 hour. Refrigerate immediately. Eat within 24 hours and never reheat more than once. Eat leftover chicken cold in salads or wraps when you can. If you must reheat it, use the lowest effective temperature and stay within safe internal temperature limits. Do not reheat spinach, Swiss chard, beet greens, or celery. Eat them cold or cook fresh, and never store cooked greens longer than 6 hours before eating them cold. Cook eggs fresh whenever possible. If prepped ahead, store hard-boiled eggs unpeeled and eat them cold, and never microwave egg dishes. Get a food thermometer. Gentle reheating below 165 degrees Fahrenheit significantly reduces the formation of these compounds compared to high-heat methods. One rule above all, reheat any food no more than once. One cook, one reheat, then discard. Where you can, use a low oven instead of a microwave for reheating protein, since microwaves create uneven hotspots that accelerate oxidation. And plan your portions so you generate fewer leftovers in the first place. That single habit change does more than any other on this list. Before I close, I want to ask you something, and I mean it. Which of these 4 surprised you most? Rice, the food almost no one thinks twice about? Chicken, the protein millions treat as the gold standard of clean eating? Spinach, the vegetable every health expert tells you to eat more of? Or eggs? Tell me in the comments. And if there's a food you want investigated in a future video, something you eat often or reheat regularly, leave that too. I read every comment. Your questions shape what gets researched next. One final word before we finish. Think of someone in your life who reheats leftovers without a second thought. A parent, a sibling, a college student living on meal-prepped chicken and rice, a partner reheating spinach through the week, someone microwaving scrambled eggs every morning from Sunday's batch. They do not know what you now know. You can change that in under 10 seconds by sending them this video. Not to alarm them, not to lecture them, just to hand them the same knowledge you now carry, because they deserve the chance to decide for themselves, with full information, just as much as you do. The research is real, the risk is real, and the fix is remarkably simple. Share this, because protecting your health, and the health of the people you're responsible for, is not just a private matter. It's a duty we carry for one another. A strong man does not hoard useful knowledge. He passes it on to the people counting on him. Order is never maintained by accident. It is maintained by men and women who choose, deliberately and repeatedly, to do the small, unglamorous thing that needs doing. You do not need to overhaul your entire kitchen tonight. You need to make one better decision the next time you open that refrigerator door. Stack enough of those decisions on top of each other, and over years, they compound into something that looks very much like a healthier, longer life. One last necessary clarification. Everything in this video is for educational purposes only. It is not personal medical advice, a diagnosis, or a treatment plan. The evidence here reflects peer-reviewed research available at the time this was recorded, and food science will keep evolving. Recommendations may shift as better evidence emerges. Talk to your physician or a registered dietitian before making major changes to your diet, especially if you have an existing condition. This channel exists to take complex research and hand it to you straight, not to replace your doctor, not to manufacture fear, but to make sure the evidence available to researchers is also available to you. You are owed complete, accurate information about your own health, and nothing less. Thank you for watching. I'm Dr. Adewale Morgan, and I'll see you in the next one.